Welcome into KSU Nation, the best K-State and Big 12 podcast and YouTube out there. I'm Stevie B.
And I'm Kenny G.
And in today's episode, we're going to be breaking down week 11 in the Big 12. It was crazy talking about that and also doing our power rankings. Before we do that, though, Kenny, let them know to subscribe.
Guys, the subscribe button. You got to click it. If you like what we're doing here, we're so close. We say that every time, but we really are inching little by little. We're going to get to that benchmark of 1,000 subs, and we can become fully monetized, and we'll be extremely happy, Stevie and I. But just keep a lookout for that. I know that you guys are having a good time listening to the podcast. Of course you are, because we've got thousands of views. So we know that you like it. Just go ahead and hit that button while you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get right into this, Kenny. Crazy.
There's a lot
weekend
to go over, Steve. There's chaos in the Big 12. Actually, before I like to just keep pointing this out, Steve. Your old stomping grounds is still undefeated and still handing out those shutout games, man. Those shutout games. I looked, Steve, because you were telling me that they're going to lose to Derby, and I was like, yo, Derby has only had one shutout game this entire season.
You call me out for a private conversation. That's fine. Go ahead. All right.
No, but honestly, you should be proud, man. Your old stomping grounds, Manhattan High, they're absolutely killing it. I know you're proud of them. And they're just, it's exciting to see them dominate. So we're going to keep shouting them out because they're the home team for Manhattan High. But this is KSU Nation. When we all know the people that are watching, they don't really care about Manhattan, but we know that there's somebody out there that does appreciate it. So just want to give a quick shout out to them. Now let's get into the chaos. Let's get into the chaos. Look, they're already firing away, Steve. They're already firing.
They're letting
away.
us know how stupid we are. There's not going to be an apology for one game.
Yes.
There will be for another one. So
Sure.
Let's get right into Big 12 Week 11 recap here. Starting with the Holy War. This is a crazy game. BYU ended up winning 22-21 in a game that saw an AD make a statement after the game, being upset with the officials. Kenny, I'm going to go to you because you stayed up to watch this game. Utah dominated for a half, but it's a 4-quarter game, baby, and BYU is still undefeated, even though you picked against them this past week.
That's correct. And here's the thing, Steve. I'm not going to apologize for picking Utah against BYU. Listen, BYU did not deserve to win the game. Now, listen, they won the game, and I acknowledge that. I'm not saying that the call wasn't legit or anything. The call was legit. What I'm saying is the whole game up to that point, they did not play well. They did not play well at all. Utah was shutting them down. There was a lot of times in that game where Retzlaff, their quarterback, was so frustrated. He was yelling at the teammates. He was angry. It was so loud in there. It was the snaps were going there was one time where the snap went under them. They weren't even paying attention. There was a couple times where it's still BYU has this magic about them where they'll fumble the ball and the ball bounces right back into their arms to where they don't get a turnover. That happened in the red zone. The entire game, BYU's offense only scored one touchdown the whole game. The other touchdown was scored on a kick return. They could not score a touchdown, and they barely got that touchdown. They barely got it. The quarterback had to jump over the pile and just get that 1 yard. Dude, the whole game was BYU's offense getting exposed. And Utah, like I said, this was going to be their freaking Super Bowl. They came out swinging. Now everybody's going to look at the second half. They didn't play so well. Again, Utah had a quarterback who was starting his very first game of his whole career. He has not started for his whole career, and this was his first game. That is crazy. Tough environment. He made a lot of rookie mistakes. There was a lot of times where people were open or he could have ran for it. Now, he's a tough kid, and I think he's got a bright future. But, again, the moment was just too big for him, I think. They did a great job in the second quarter. Obviously, you see it right there. They scored 21 points in the second quarter. A lot has to do with their running back. He did a phenomenal job. But and there were some good passing plays. But, man, oh, man, BYU getting the win, staying undefeated, props to them. Listen, I'm not going to pick against them again. The only reason why I picked against them this time was because of the drama behind this game. I felt like both teams coming off the bye week were going to be up for this. I think Utah had a point to prove. Clearly, you could say that last play where they called it, where they called the hold. I'm going to read something. I'm going to read something really quick, and then we can move on. This is from a KU player. So when a KU fan is the voice of reason, there's something crazy going on. KU fan here who could care less about BYU and Utah for the outcome of the game. Is it a hold? ? 100% it is a hold and can be called. Those that say it isn't are wrong. Does the type of hold happen on nearly every single passing play? Yes, it does. Although the call is at the referee's discretion, often this holding call goes unseen or uncalled. I would like to believe that if it is seen, that it should be called every time, but it isn't. Third, should this hold be called? As a coach, I'd say it shouldn't be called. Typically, when the game is within 3 to 4 minutes and it's close, I'd like my referees to swallow their whistle and let their players play ball. As a fan, I want that hold called every single time. Listen, that's a really good take. That is a phenomenal take. When I was watching the game, all I saw, obviously the holding call, it doesn't mean that the game was won at that point. BYU still had to go down and make plays and get in position to kick that field goal and then actually kick the field goal. So there was a lot that could have, happened afterwards, but the fact that it was 4th and 10, they got stuffed every single time, and then it was stuffed, almost called a safety almost, but there was a holding call, so then that gave BYU life. Jake Retzoff throws a huge pass downfield. It's caught by Roberts. Roberts is absolutely insane. I think he had the highest grade out of all the players. He basically saved that entire drive. Then they did a little run play, got some good yards, got good field position. Time was expiring, and there it was. The game was over on that field goal kick. Do I think that – look, it's just like when K-State played KU, and we played like shit the whole game, and then we found a way to win at the end. We did not deserve to beat KU. We did not deserve to win that game, but we won. The same goes for BYU. You guys did not deserve to win that game. Look, you barely won against Oklahoma State. They're the worst team in the conference. And you barely beat your rival in Utah, who is the second worst team in the conference. We'll get to the power rankings later. But that is pretty alarming going forward. I want BYU. If BYU would have came out and just smacked the crap out of Utah, I would have been like, okay, I apologize for picking Utah, but there's no way I'm apologizing for picking Utah. That this actually was a really smart pick to go for them. They barely beat them by 1 point. I'm standing on my 2 feet, Steve. I'm standing 10 toes down on my picks. All right.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say about that. I agree 100% with everything you said. BYU did not deserve to win that game. Having said that, I said it earlier this season, their defense was going to keep them in a lot of games, and their defense kept them in this game. I think they held them to like 80 yards in the entire second half, 0 points for Utah. As someone said earlier, you like when you don't score a point the entire second half, you cannot be you cannot be upset when you lose because of a penalty. Like you said, that penalty did not cost them the game. It was just one play that allowed him to get a first down. Go ahead, Kenny.
Right. So that's my next point. So Utah, I feel like made a couple really. So this was the story of the game. BYU had like terrible field position all game because they were getting stopped and they couldn't get first down. So then they would kick it, and then Utah would have the ball at like the 50 or their 45, and then they would get to like BYU's 40, and it'd be like 4th and 4, and then they'd punt it. And so it's a battle. It was like a battle of field position. And I'm like, in 4th and 4, you got to go for it at least one of those times. Your defense was killing it. Your defense was doing great. At least try to go for that first down and maybe try to get a field goal, but they didn't get it. Somebody who told me that I was crazy for not for saying that Utah, my score prediction was 28-27. And it ended up being 21-22. And they're like, it's crazy that you think you would get 28 points for Utah. And I'm like, hey, one touchdown away, it could have been 28 points. So I wasn't super far off on that. Now, I had no idea they were going with a brand new quarterback. That was news to me. But it looks as if this guy is probably going to be who they go to from here on out. But make no mistake, I know we got a lot of Colorado fans, and I know Colorado's playing against Utah next week. Colorado is going to absolutely destroy this Utah team next week. Utah lost on a crazy emotional game. There's no way that they got juice after that game. There's no way that Colorado's losing that game, and we'll get to the rest of the games. But I wanted to say that Utah not going for it on 4th down when they were in BYU territory, I feel like that was a misplay. I feel like that could have you got to take chances sometimes. And Kyle Whittingham did not take chances. He kept kicking it, trusting his defense, which by the way, your defense was doing phenomenal. They did not score a touchdown except for one touchdown all game long. I mean, that's amazing. Props to you for trusting your defense, but they couldn't do it all. They couldn't do it all. The offense had to at least do something, especially when they had such great field position so often. It was really crazy that they couldn't score. But yes, that comment, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right for that.
I want to say 2 things here, and then we're going to move on because we spent a decent amount of time. When I say we, I mean Kenny, because he watched the game. I want to say 2 things really quickly. Number one, a lot of BYU fans have said, the wheels are going to fall off at some point. It almost did this game. And when you look at the final couple games, there's really only 2 other games that I feel like they could possibly lose. We play KU. KU just beat Iowa State. We're going to get to that here in a second. The other one would definitely be at Arizona State, who's also right up there in the Big 12 conference standings. So there's definitely a way for BYU to lose a couple games. I'm probably not going to pick them to lose both games, but I'll probably pick them to lose one of them for sure because they've not been playing great. The numbers aren't really that good. But like you said, they found a way to win. Also, their AD saying what he did after the game and then also going on the field and like basically taunting a ref after the game. He's going to get probably multiple fines from the Big 12.
That's disgraceful.
It's disgraceful, disgusting what he said. And basically saying that they don't want to be in the Big 12 anymore because they lost one game when they're 4-5 on the year. I mean, dude, shut up. You're an embarrassment to your university in this conference.
So that's all. It says Utah AD fined $40,000 for criticizing the Big 12 officials. That's on ESPN right now.
What?
Yep, the AD is fined $40,000.
Did that just come out? Because I've not seen that.
6 minutes ago. 6 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh!
It's on the BYU Cougars page on ESPN.
Wow.
Because I was just looking to see their schedule. They play KU, Arizona State, and Houston. Yeah, it's a gauntlet, man. The Big 12 is a gauntlet. People
Absolutely.
that have been in the Big 12 know that it's not easy to go undefeated in this conference. So
Yep.
BYU being able to go this far into the conference and be undefeated says a lot. I don't want to take away anything about their win. You guys deserved it at the end of the game, or at the end of the day. You guys played the game and you guys won the game. Okay, there's a little bit of controversy with everything. It is what it is, but you gotta give props. They found a way to win. It is what it is, and all that matters is the little green W next to the next to the win column. So I mean that's all that matters at the end of the day, whether you win by 1 or win by 100. So
yeah, Vin Diesel said it right in Fast and Furious #1. He said, "Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning." So
that's right.
I want to say
That's
two
right.
things, two more things, then we'll move on here.
All right.
Utah was already the villain of the Big 12. This just makes everyone hate them more. I agree 100%. This is said very well. And then this was a tweet from Pete Thamel, a person who's very much up there in terms of knowing what's going on with college athletics. The Big 12 has fined Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan $40,000 and will issue a public reprimand in the wake of his disparaging comments about officiating in the Big 12 after Utah's home loss to BYU. He was also seen visibly berating an official after the game. Yes, all of that happened. And yeah, that is 40 grand. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not 100 grand because what he said was disgusting and horrible. Like
to accuse the Big 12 of to accuse the Big 12 of conspiring against their team to steal a win. That's crazy, dude. Come on, man.
He said that they were excited to be in the Big 12, but they no longer are. Like, what? Because you lost a game because of one penalty? Dude, shut up, man. Yeah, they never ever wanted to join the Big 12. I agree. They wanted to be with all the LA schools and playing the Pac-12. We can go back to the Pac-12 if you want. We'll get Boise State instead. So
their team has gone through. Their team has struggled a lot this year with injuries and stuff like that. I don't blame Utah for for being upset with how their season's going, with them being projected to be so good this year. It is obviously frustrating, and I feel really bad for the fans that having to lose that way is tough for any team. So for those of you out there that are watching this happen, if this happened to your team, don't act like you wouldn't be upset and that you've got the moral high ground. Everybody would act this way. They would say, this is BS. This shouldn't have been called, blah, blah. Like everybody would have been the same way. Like to say otherwise is not, you're kidding yourself. You're not like, yeah, that was a real call. Like, like everybody would have been totally like, no, you don't call it. You don't call that at that time. You don't call that, blah, blah, blah. So
I just think what he said was very unprofessional. You cannot say that as an AD.
Oh, no. I'm saying as fans who are just on Facebook typing away, you have every right to say stuff like that.
Oh, I agree.
But a guy who's in the position of your like athletic director, that is not how you represent your school.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. Yeah.
It's embarrassing and unprofessional. And honestly, that fine should be higher. It really should.
Other than that one game, this was upset week, Steve.
Upset
week. Let me just break this down for everybody who's watching. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
I called a lot of upsets, right? But let me just tell you how this weekend actually went down in terms of upset. Ready? So we had Miami that lost their first game of the season. Cincinnati was favored. They lost. Georgia was favored. They lost. Iowa State was favored. They lost. Pitt was favored. They lost. And BYU almost lost. So let's go through this. I just wanted to across the board, this was upset season. And even though K-State had a little taste of that the week before, we don't want to talk about it. I want to move on. But let's go to Iowa State getting an L against Kansas. You and I both picked this, Steve. We both picked against Iowa State.
There's no apology here. Both of us picked KU to win this game.
That's right.
We're very smart people, obviously, when it comes to this game at least. And honestly, KU dominated from start to finish. Outside of the first drive for Iowa State, I mean, KU really dominated. They're up 18 at halftime. They scored in every single quarter. Dominant effort, and they look like the team that everyone thought they would be at the beginning of the season. It took them 9 games to finally get their potential going, but man, big win for KU, and kind of really knocks Iowa State back to reality, man.
Oh man, you and I, well, I don't know how high you were on calling Iowa State frauds, but I was saying that they were frauds. I'm like, they were looking really sus against UCF, and I'm like, wait a second. They also were struggling against West Virginia, and I'm like, wait a second here. They struggled against Houston for 3 quarters. I'm like, this is kind of alarming, and everybody's talking about how Iowa State's going to get to the championship game. And I'm like, how? What's their path? Like, I don't see them winning these games. And it also looked like Kansas was starting to figure out how to win games. They lost against us, but they had a bye week. They looked really, really good versus us. And it's just, KU's not allowed to beat Kansas, not at least not when this streak is going on.
KU's not allowed to beat K-State is what you're saying.
It's not allowed to happen. But
they can beat Iowa State. They beat them 3 years in a row, man.
Beat them 3 years in a row. And a lot of it has to go to Devin Neal and their quarterback, Jalen Daniels. JD6 is back, dude. He is back. And I would be very scared about playing against this Kansas team. BYU, Colorado, you guys are in for it. They look pretty dang scary. Who else do they have? They got BYU. I'm trying to think of their schedule. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. BYU, Colorado, and Baylor. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be like KU is gonna be playing upset for all these teams, and
I'm rooting for them the rest of the way, man. I am. I'm a K-State fan, and I'm gonna say it. I need them to win some more games here, so K-State can get back into the Big 12 championship picture, man. We need them to win. And honestly, I have a lot of faith in them because they're a good team, dude. Their offense is legit.
Yep. Their offense is actually starting to fire away. I can't remember what my score prediction was for KU and Iowa State. Hold on. Did we actually pull it up?
I did. I think it was 38-31 was my score prediction. But yeah, they're up 31-13 at halftime.
Yeah. I said Iowa State was going to get 21, but then they their fourth quarter, they really racked up the points because they were at 20, and I was like, oh man, they're actually gonna. I said 35-21 or something like that, or I don't know. But either way, KU looking really dominant now, which is kind of scary for all the teams that they have coming against, because it doesn't look like KU suffered any injuries either. They look pretty dang healthy, and it looks like Daniels is on track again, and they're going to be a scary team. If
I was Colorado or BYU, I would be somewhat worried because they're going on a roll right now. They're looking like that Baylor team back in 2012 that really put it together late in the season.
Oh my God, I don't want to talk about them.
I know. But I'm just saying that they remind me of them, man. But the difference is that there was a lot of hype, and they've lost a lot of close games. They're so much better than 3-6. We all know that. We all know that. So
stats don't lie, man.
But they're 3-6 for a reason. But they're starting to put it together lately, man.
And for all those,
great win for them.
And for all those Utah fans that are pissed off about how they lost that game, just take a look at Kansas and see all the games that they lost by one score or one possession games. You don't see, as much as I don't like KU, you don't see their athletic director criticizing the Big 12 and cussing up a storm and saying that that the other team cheated. They're not, as much as I don't like Kansas, they at least don't do that. So props to you guys for getting the big win, knocking Iowa State down a peg, bringing them back down to reality, as Stevie B said. And they are definitely the team to be looking out for. If you're playing against them in the back half, they are a scary, scary team. All right, moving forward.
Okay, well,
here we go. This is the moment that a lot of people in this
go
chat
ahead.
are waiting
Well,
for.
you know, I'll go first.
All right, you go first.
All right. So Colorado gets the win 41-27. And shout out to Shiloh Sanders for picking up that fumble late in the game. That it definitely looked like it was a forward pass until you saw the replay. And like, wow, that's actually a legit fumble. And the receiver for Texas Tech did not do what he was supposed to do to go after that ball. But, you know, Colorado gets a big win. We thought they would lose. We both called it. This is an apology to Colorado. They're right now the second best team in this conference. They're 5-1. They had the best quarterback in the Big 12, if not the country. A great team. It looks pretty good that K-State won there earlier in the year, and I know that they had some players hurt in that game that probably would have made a difference. But, man, big win for them. Coming back from down, I think it was, 10-0 that they came back from. Joey McGuire from Texas Tech, what are you doing, man? Like, you cannot be calling some of these plays inside the 5-yard line, inside the red zone. Man, they could have scored so many more points than they did. They could have scored so many more points. They could have won this game, honestly, because Colorado was letting them right back into the game. But Colorado is a good team, and good teams find ways to win. They're 7-2, 5-1 in the Big 12, and, you know, Arlington is waiting for them if they just go 3-0 the rest of the way, man.
Yeah, so, you know, Colorado, you know, they played really well this game. First quarter was kind of iffy here and there. Obviously, let's be honest, the last touchdown, it was going to be 27-35 or whatever. But, you know, they picked up the touchdown. They picked up the scoop and score and got the extra points on the board. And that really was the nail in the coffin. But it really didn't feel like Texas Tech was going to be able to drive down that field. I mean, they had many opportunities before that moment. There was so many opportunities for them to end the game and come out with the win, but they just, you know, they let Colorado take over the game. In the first half, I was like, man, Colorado, it was 13-10. I was thinking, oh man, I wonder if Colorado's actually going to be able to handle Taj Brooks. You know, this is the reason why I picked them in the first place, was because Taj Brooks is known to be one of the best running backs in the league. And we saw what DJ Giddens did. So I'm thinking, oh, this is going to just be another version of that. But Taj Brooks couldn't really get going. I mean, he had a couple moments in the game, but it really wasn't that wasn't really the story. It was kind of a messy game on both sides, but then Colorado cleaned it up at the end. So yeah, I'm sorry I picked against Colorado. I'm not sure if I think that they're gonna win out, but I definitely think out of all the rest of the teams that are in the Big 12, I think Colorado has the best chance of winning the rest of their games, because BYU looks sus. I mean, the last 2 weeks have been rough for them. They barely won against Oklahoma State and they barely won against Utah. Colorado has actually looked pretty dominant in their wins. I mean, as much as I would hate to say that, but it's true. I mean, they quite literally have been dominating. Now, look at their schedule, though. Their schedule, like Baylor was a crazy close win. Then they went down to UCF, dominated there. They lost against K-State, played against Arizona. Arizona's horrible. Cincinnati, they're actually looking worse, as like they came out and they started to look pretty good. They just lost against West Virginia. They're not looking the greatest. And then Texas Tech, I thought that they had some juice, man. Like after beating Iowa State, I'm like, okay, all right. But there's no chance that Colorado loses to Utah. Not after this last week. There's no chance in hell. There's a chance that KU could upset, but it's not. I'll have to see how this next week goes when KU plays BYU, because BYU might actually lose to KU after this emotional win at home or away. And if KU comes out and wins, who knows if they'll keep that up going into Colorado or going against Colorado. Colorado also has to travel for that, but it's really not that bad of a travel. And then they play Oklahoma State, which Oklahoma State, not the greatest team right now. In fact, I think they're probably going to lose every single conference game this season, which is crazy to say. Sorry, Oklahoma State, you're really bad this year. But I would say that, out of all the teams, I would say that Colorado has the best chance of actually winning out the rest of the season. That's just my opinion right now. So I thought it would be close. Hey, listen, I said I thought it would be close against Texas Tech. I said I thought it would be close, but I did pick Texas Tech to win out just because of the home advantage. Turns out Texas Tech couldn't get it done, and Colorado got it done. So props.
Here's what I'm going to say about this. Colorado's exceeding everyone's expectations. I mean, they're going to a bowl game for the first time in like forever. They have the inside track to the conference championship. I will say that they did get a little bit lucky with their schedule. They're playing most of the lower teams in this conference. Let's be honest. I mean, they're not playing Iowa State. They're not playing BYU, right? So like, they're not playing Arizona State, and K-State's playing all the top teams. Like every top team in this conference, K-State is playing. K-State did not get lucky with the schedule makers this year.
Yeah,
they did not. Colorado did, and they're proving why they're good. I would like to see what their record would be with K-State's schedule, but I will say again, I'm sorry for picking them to lose to Texas Tech. They were clearly the better team.
Mm-hmm.
You and I were both buying a sauce after Texas Tech went to Iowa State and won, and looks like Iowa State's probably not the best team in the world either. Colorado's pretty good, especially when they get, Travis Hunter the ball in space. That touchdown he had in the second half was beautiful. They scored 31 points in the second half. That's insane. And they have the best quarterback in the Big 12, if not the country, like I said earlier. They're a darn good football team, and I would not want to play them right now. And I agree with everything you said. They probably have the best chance to go undefeated the rest of the way.
Listen to this, Steve.
So they're definitely going to win 10 games, if not 11 or 12.
Right, but hear me out on this, Steve. If BYU goes undefeated and gets to the conference championship, and Colorado goes undefeated and gets to the conference championship, that is our best chance as a Big 12 to get two teams into the college football playoff. That's our best chance, because let's just say Colorado. I don't know. I don't think they would take a 3-loss Colorado, now that I think about it. But I don't know if they would also take a 1-loss BYU if Colorado beats BYU in the conference championship. Would they do that? I don't know. It's kind of all up in the air right now. But I would say that if it's BYU Colorado in the Big 12 championship game, my hopes are high for having two teams in the college football playoff. I'm just saying, if Colorado wins or loses,
3 is wishful thinking at this point.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's not going to happen.
I think that they should probably get both of the teams that play in a conference championship into the college football playoff. Actually, the new rankings came out today for the regular polls. I think Colorado is 20th in one, and then 17th in the other. K-State is 19 and 20. So
let's finish out the. I guess Steve just got out of the call here, but I was going to say we're going to finish out the rest of the week. Let's finish.
That was a mistake. I clicked the back button on the wrong thing.
I was going to say let's finish out the rest of the games this week, and then we'll answer some comments or go over some comments, and then we'll get into our power rankings, and then maybe talk a little bit of K-State basketball at the end here.
Okay.
So Colorado, congratulations. You won. You have the best chance of making it to the Big 12. I mean, they said it like literally 100,000 times. I can't even. I wish I played a game where I took a shot every time I heard an announcer say, "And Colorado's got their destiny in their hands," or Colorado, basically controlling their destiny. It's in their hands. I heard it like literally 1,000 times. It made me want to throw up. I'm like, all right, we get it. They have the control in their hands. We understand. We get it now. But yeah, congratulations, Colorado. You deserve it. You came in and you played well, and you did a damn good job against Texas Tech. Texas Tech, that was basically an elimination game for you. So sorry, but you're pretty much out of contention at this point. All right, next game, West Virginia versus Cincinnati. I think I called Cincinnati to win this game.
I think we both did. We both
yeah,
picked
because
Cincinnati
Cincinnati's pass game. I remember now.
We both picked them to win this game, but Sorsby, man, turnover machine, dude. He it was 4th down. I mean, first off, they probably should have kicked a field goal, obviously, or done something differently than what they did. But he was going to take a sack, and he just threw it up, trying to save yardage, and a West Virginia guy picked it up or caught it and ran it back for a touchdown. And, man, West Virginia's, I mean, they're hanging in there. I don't think they're going to get to Arlington, but they're thinking, why not us as well? I mean, their defense, especially against the run, is pretty decent. Their pass defense is garbage, even though they got that pick 6. I don't think Cincinnati is as good as we thought they were. I mean, losing this game, we both picked them to win. I don't know what they were doing. I really don't. They should have ran the ball a lot more than they did. Like I said, I don't think West Virginia is that good. But Cincinnati, man, I don't know how you lose this game, dude. I do not.
The one thing I'll say about Cincinnati is that they were one of the 2 teams that gave Houston a shutout game. So, there's that. They beat UCF and they beat Arizona State. You know, it's just going to be interesting to see how they stack up against K-State in a couple weeks. That we play them not this weekend, but the weekend after. But yeah, Cincinnati. I don't know what happened here. West Virginia having a brand new quarterback. He looked good, man. He looked really good. I was shocked.
I didn't think he looked that good. I'll be honest. I thought he looked pretty mid.
Looked better than Garrett Green. I mean,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. He played well enough to win the game. He managed the game. I don't think he played that well. They just got some turnovers defensively and did just enough to win the game.
Well, either way, I thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, maybe I'm overhyping it, but I thought they were pretty good. West Virginia proving that their rush defense is pretty dang good. They basically wrote the playbook of how to shut down K-State's rush offense. So they've been basically leading the charge there. They're really, really good on defense. And as it showed right here, 31-24 is a pretty good score for a solid game. Yeah, Cincinnati, man, moves to 3-3 in Big 12. I did not see that coming. And West Virginia, looks like their coach is just fine. They're the gatekeepers. Remember,
they're the gatekeepers of the top 8 in this conference, man.
And it looks there, like
number 8 or number 9.
Cincinnati, you weren't good enough to make it to the top. You're stuck.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still say they're a top half team, but they should have won this game, and they did not. They did not. I don't know. The turnovers were insane. I mean, honestly, that pick 6, that's 7 less for West Virginia and 3 more for Cincinnati if they kick the field goal and they win the game by 3. You know what I mean? Just that one pick 6 changed the game. But, West Virginia threw an interception as well in the red zone. So both teams had a couple interceptions in the red zone that changed the game. West Virginia is still in the Big 12 title hunt, which I'm going to say something really quickly. I ran the numbers. In any event of a 3 or more team tie with 2 losses in the Big 12, K-State would get in to the Big 12 championship game because of their strength of schedule. No one has played a tougher schedule this year in the Big 12 than K-State, playing at Colorado, at BYU, going to play at Iowa State. You got Arizona State at home. You have Cincinnati at home. We played already Arizona at home in the non-conference. I mean, K-State's we played at Tulane, at West Virginia. By far, K-State has the toughest schedule of anyone.
Tulane's ranked now,
and they would be rewarded for it if there was at least 3 or more teams tied with 2 losses near the top of the conference. K-State would have the edge going to Arlington.
But here's the thing, Steve. We lost to Houston, and there's no excuse for that.
Inexcusable. Embarrassing.
It's inexcusable. If K-State doesn't make it to the Big 12 championship, I've basically accepted
Yeah.
the fact that that's a possibility. And if it does happen, K-State has no one else to blame but themselves for that horrendous loss in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, the players, I mean, they did not want to be there at all, and we're getting off on a tangent here. But the coaches also lost that game. You cannot call a pass play there. Up two
Yeah.
scores in a fourth with 10 minutes left. Okay, moving on.
Steve, this game, listen, to
This
all
was
the
a crazy game.
To all the people out there, who were who sit there and say that we don't know what we're talking about, that we have no idea, like our analysis, our insight of these games, like they don't think that we were, accurate in our picks. I just proved to you that the Utah BYU was going to be close, and it was. And then I literally almost picked the exact score for this game. Arizona State 35, UCF 28. It was 35-31.
Yep.
Steve, you picked 31-20 or 31-17.
Yeah, I thought they dominated a little bit more. Honestly, UCF could have and should have won this game. If they don't throw that pick six on their own 1 yard line, they probably win this game. I mean, they let Arizona State score a couple of touchdowns right before halftime, and that was obviously the difference in the game. They did just enough in the second half to win, but man, UCF has played in a lot of close games this year. Come up on top and on the bottom, more so on the bottom in a lot of these, honestly. But yeah, Cam Scadaboo did not play in this game, and that was a big difference for Arizona State. Their offense was not the same, but still somehow
they got their quarterback. It's like they got their quarterback
was
back.
Good.
Yeah, their quarterback came back from his injury, and then Scadaboo was gone.
Yep.
And it didn't matter because they have more than just one threat on their offense, it turns out.
Yep.
Again, I'm not sold on UCF's defense. I don't think
that their defense is terrible.
Yeah, listen, UCF did a great job in the week before. Who did they play? They played
beat Arizona. They beat the crap out of Arizona, like 56-12 or something.
Right, and Arizona's horrendous. So
horrible.
For them to come out and play Arizona State, I figured that this was going to be a good game, back and forth scoring, and it turned out it was. I took the over. I was correct on that. So I just want to say, yeah, Arizona, they have still remained the team in the Big 12 that has been the most exciting team to watch. Also, Steve, this has already been said a bunch by a lot of people, but for those who are listening who may not have known this, Arizona's head coach is the first.
State.
What?
Arizona State.
Arizona State's head coach is the first coach to be born in 1990 and get to a bowl game.
At Arizona State, you mean? Or just in the Big 12, like in the country?
No, across the country.
Oh, wow.
Across the country.
Wow.
He is the first coach that was born in the 1990s that has taken a Power 5 football team to a bowl game. That's impressive.
Wow.
That is impressive. It was his first year doing it. That's impressive.
And they had an over-under of 4 wins, and they were picked last in the Big 12, and here they are at 7-2. And, man, I'm kind of nervous for this Saturday's game at 6 o'clock at Bill Snyder Family Stadium between Arizona State and K-State. It's going to be a close game. They got a great running back. Their quarterback is pretty good, and they've steadily gotten better throughout the season, man. They could be 8-1 if their quarterback doesn't get hurt, and them losing at Cincinnati, man. They're a good team. They're a really good team, and I am not looking forward to Saturday. That is for sure.
I'm not worried about it, and we'll get into it on Tuesday. I'm worried. We'll get into it on Tuesday, but they've lost against Cincinnati. They lost against Texas Tech. Their wins are against a bad KU team that when KU traveled to them, Utah, Oklahoma State, and UCF. Those are their wins in conference play. So they've only played the bottom half of the league in terms of power rankings, and they've lost to the 2 teams that were above them. Like basically where West Virginia is the gatekeeper, they lost to 2 teams that were above it, and they won against 4 teams that are below it. So the back half of their season is K-State BYU and Arizona, they're definitely going to be they're going to be winning their in-state rival.
They
I
could beat
just don't.
BYU too, man. I'm going to pick them to beat BYU. I am.
That's a bold take.
And I said it weeks ago. I did say it weeks ago.
Well, we'll see. I mean, if you called that, that is probably the call of the year, Steve. If that happens,
I also
my hat goes off to you for that. But
I also said Dante Cephas was going to score a touchdown in a Big 12 championship game, and that's not looking likely. So
yeah, I don't think that's going to be a thing in the future here. But yes, Arizona State, congratulations! You've moved to 4-2 in conference play, and you are still the most exciting team in the Big 12 to watch.
Moving on to the last game. I'm glad it was last because we don't want to spend too much time on it. Oklahoma State still stinks, man. They suck. They were down 24-0 at halftime. They lose 38-13. TCU is middle of the pack. Their quarterback is good. I don't think their defense is that good, even though they only gave up 13 points in this game. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Shout out to TCU for winning the game, getting to 6-4, but Oklahoma State stinks, man. They suck. And like I said earlier, man, in a previous podcast, I think Gundy should retire. I really do, because he called out their fans multiple times. He's not living up to expectations. He doesn't like the NIL. I think he should go. I do.
Yeah, we'll finish with this, and then we'll go right into these comments a little bit, and then we'll segue into our power rankings. Yep, Oklahoma State, you guys are horrible. You're probably not going to win a single game in the conference, which is so crazy to even say right now. But I just don't think they have it.
9-3 to 3-9.
Yep, I don't think it's going to happen for them. I think their season is bust. I feel really bad for Ollie Gordon. But you know, because I don't think he's coming back next year. And for him to end his year on a 0-win conference season is pretty disgusting. TCU, the only thing I'll say about you guys is those jerseys you were wearing were absolutely freaking disgusting. I don't ever wear those jerseys again. You looked stupid. And that is my opinion, and my opinion is actually correct on this. Those jerseys were ugly as hell. Okay, moving on to these awesome let's look at these comments here.
Well, we've been live for 47 minutes, and there's been a lot of comments. I think we should just go straight to the power rankings.
Just want to hit a couple of them here.
Okay, hit 2 or 3, and then we'll move on to the power rankings.
Texas Tech fans through Tech fans through the kitchen trash I'm so confused. Yeah, they're talking about the tortillas or something.
They were throwing stuff on the field the entire game, dude. They were, and it's. I mean, everyone's doing it across the country. I don't know why, dude.
No excuses here. I mean, you guys won. I'm assuming that's a Colorado fan here. Let's see here. How did we get lucky with our schedule when Awe was ranked 11th in the conference? Not really sure what they're saying there. Yeah, we'll just move on there. And then
like I said earlier, K-State is by far the toughest schedule.
They have, yeah, I mean, look at all the teams that are that are ranked that they've played. But before the season, yeah, these last three games would be the hardest. We didn't make the schedule. Yeah, I mean, you're right. You did not make the schedule, and it's not.
It was going to be good, and Utah was going to be good, and both of those teams stink. So,
yeah, they were absolutely horrendous.
Should we move on to the? Oh, go ahead.
What, KSU playing against BYU was a cakewalk? ? No. It was not a cakewalk. We played horrible. K-State, I'll say this. K-State is really bad when we travel. I don't know what it is about this team under the Kleiman era. Under the Kleiman era, we have not been good in away games. When we're at home, we play great. We play like we're a totally different team when we're at home.
And the only reason I feel like we play good at Colorado is because we had 2 weeks to prepare. So that's
right. That's true. Yeah, that is correct.
One more, and then we'll move on. You are unanimous. You are unanimous in your opinion.
That is, I love that.
All right, let's get right into the Big 12 Power Rankings post Week 11. Make sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends. We're getting really close to 1,000 subs, and we appreciate it if you guys all subscribed. Let's
And
go.
of course, they come to the KSU Nation YouTube to figure out who we're picking for our power rankings, because we are like the first channel to do power rankings out of anybody else.
Yes, sir.
So here we go.
OSU 16 for both of us. Gotta be.
It has to be. They're not winning a single game the rest
They
of the
stink.
season.
Terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
I gotta go Utah at 15. They blew their game against BYU, the number one team. They lost to Arizona, who absolutely sucks. They lost at home to Arizona too, by the way. I don't want to hear anything about quarterbacks. I mean, everyone's pretty much dealt with it at some point this season. They're the second to worst team in this conference.
What is more of a fluke, that Arizona won against Utah or that Utah almost beat BYU? Because I think the Utah that showed up last night is actually the Utah that should have been the whole season. Obviously, they had a brand new quarterback, so you can't really say that for sure, because if they had their quarterback that was supposed to be, what was his name again? Cam Rising. If they had Cam Rising the whole season, we might be talking about a totally different
he
Utah
still looked
team.
pretty bad. He looked pretty bad in the one game that he played in.
That's right, but I mean, he was already not 100%.
True.
I know Arizona beat them, but I'm gonna put Arizona at 15 for me, because I just think
makes no sense, Kenny.
Because the points, dude, like the actual like statistics, they do not score against any opponent, anybody. So I'm just saying, I'm not gonna put Utah any higher than 14 for me. Like, it's not like Utah is 14. I want saying.
Arizona 14 since they won at Utah. I'm doing transitive property here, man. Have to. You got to be smart, bro.
All right.
Okay.
Now
this is where things get interesting. This is where things get interesting, because these next 3 or 4 teams kind of interchangeable, I feel like. I'm going to go. Oh, man. I'm going to go.
I know what I'm going.
I'm going Houston at 13.
I'm going to go UCF at 13.
I'm going Houston at 13 because I know it happened a long time ago, but they went 2 games without scoring a single touchdown. I know they beat K-State. I know that. They still had less than 250 total yards in that game. In fact, in both of K-State's losses, both teams had less than 300 yards. So basically, K-State, if they just don't turn the ball over, they'd be undefeated. More so against Houston than BYU, because BYU took advantage of every single thing, and Houston didn't. But I don't think Houston is still that good. They're ahead of schedule in terms of where they should be in their first year under Willie Fritz, but I still don't think they're that good, specifically passing the ball. Their defense is pretty solid, but overall, I still don't think they're very good. So
my question is, no, they don't. Okay. It's unfortunate that they don't play each other, because my question is, if Houston played against UCF, who would win? And I think Houston would win at this point, in this point of the season.
I disagree.
In this point of the season,
I'm going to have UCF at 12 because I think they would win. They played pretty well against Iowa State. Could have and should have won that game. Could have beaten Arizona State. They have a quarterback finally that can throw a forward pass. I have way more faith in UCF's offense than Houston's, but Houston does have a better defense. They do. They're kind of opposites of each other. So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see the progression of these teams going into next season. But I have Houston at 12. Okay. So we're just flip flopping here.
We are. We don't talk about this beforehand, by the way. This is all off the cuff.
This is all, we're not, there's no script. When you come to KSU Nation YouTube, you're not going to run into a bunch of guys reading a script that we have typed out. Like, this is all in our brains and in our hearts and our souls.
Utah's a joke. We don't need their crap in our conference. I agree.
We already went off on them. And honestly, I want to say this really quick. The Utah fans, they've kept quiet, rightfully so. At least as far as
Yes.
my vision, because like I'm subscribed and I'm in a lot of Big 12 forums and stuff like that. And at first, the Utah fans were firing off before the season, and then as the season progressed, they've gotten quieter and quieter and quieter. I'll say this: Utah fans, they're not represented. I don't want them to feel like they're represented by their AD. I mean, their athletic director really made them look bad, and I feel bad for the fans. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. Yep.
So number 11, this I feel like maybe Cincinnati. I'll put
I was
Cincinnati.
thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I think
Cincinnati 11 as
Cincinnati.
well.
Then yeah, I think they've come down to earth a lot. So I'm gonna put them there for sure.
I agree. I always felt like, I mean, even though like they were a couple plays away from being undefeated, I never really felt like they were like an amazing team. And so yeah, I got them number 11, dude. And you know they could have beaten West Virginia, but their offensive line is Swiss cheese. I mean, I don't know how many sacks the Mountaineers had, but it was a lot. It was a lot. So moving on, number 10. What do you got? I know it's going to be KU or Baylor.
Yeah, you're right.
And they play each other last game of the season. So
last game of the season.
I'm gonna go Baylor.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about Baylor's.
I know that's not fair because they did not play this past weekend. I get it. I just think KU's playing better right now, and I feel like both are actually like playing pretty decent football down the stretch. So they're pretty interchangeable.
Was the Baylor win over Texas Tech more impressive than KU's win over Iowa State?
No, it wasn't.
So I got to go.
They dropped 59 on Texas Tech, which is pretty impressive. But
yeah, all you Colorado fans, how come you didn't drop 59 on Baylor? You guys played them head to head, and it was overtime. You won on a Hail Mary. You should have beat Texas Tech by like 47 points, like Baylor did. Where are you at, Colorado? I'm just kidding.
He's trying to rile you up, trying to rile up some more.
I'm just kidding. You guys played really well, but Baylor obviously they had Texas Tech's number right from the jump. 59, dude. That's crazy. But I'll put Baylor at number 10 for me as well. I think, and KU at number 9.
Same for me.
I think KU is finally. We said this 2 weeks ago. We're like, holy crap, KU actually might be that team that was projected to be in the top half. Or
they're finally playing like it, dude. They're finally playing like it.
They're finally playing like it, and I think it just took a few weeks to get the rust off of JD6, and now he's back and he's looking dangerous. And we talk about this every episode. The gatekeepers, West Virginia.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, actually, I don't agree. I do not agree. But I'm moving Texas Tech all the way down to number 8. I am. I mean, if they're playing each other this week, who are you picking? West Virginia or Texas Tech?
Oh, they play each other this week?
No. If they were playing each other, I don't know if they were. But if they were, who are you picking?
That's tough, man.
I'm picking West Virginia. I
am. Does West Virginia have their quarterback back?
No.
I would pick Texas Tech to win.
I would pick West Virginia. I would. In fact,
dude, they played Colorado pretty close, and I think Colorado's a tough team. So I would have Texas Tech at number 7. I just think that they would beat West Virginia. I think it'd be a crazy.
I disagree with that take.
Here's my reason. Here's my reason. Texas Tech actually does have somewhat of a passing game.
They do.
And West Virginia struggles against the pass. They just do. Their numbers just show it.
They do, but they can get out to the quarterback. They can. And they got a good running back as well. So, okay. I'm going to go TCU. I don't know how I have them at number 6, but I do. They're sneaky. They're sneaky, man. They're sneaking up into the top half. even though they got obliterated by SMU. And I don't know. I really don't think they're that good. I really do not. But
I have to reevaluate myself now because how in the world is TCU number 6 right now in my power rankings?
where do you want to switch things at? I can put them somewhere else if you want.
I'll put TCU has to go number 7 then.
Okay.
For
you
me,
moving Texas Tech up?
Yeah.
You know what happened when they played each other, right? Should I tell you who won?
Wait, they played each other already?
TCU beat Texas Tech 35-34.
Shoot. I did not know that. All right. Never mind.
That happened like a week ago. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, all right. Never mind. TCU.
Transitive property, man. You got to use it. You got to use it.
That's crazy, man. What is happening right now with TCU? I would have never guessed that TCU was going to end up in top 6 right now. That's crazy. Good for you guys.
We have 140 people watching live right now. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs so we get monetized.
We're literally 140 away from hitting 1,000, basically. So
if you've not subscribed, please click the subscribe button.
If every single one of you subscribed right now, we'd be at our goal. It would be amazing.
Yeah, we'd stop talking about it. So, okay. I think that the next 5 are pretty straightforward in terms of where you're going to put teams at.
I don't know, Steve. Let's start with number 1. Let's start with number 1.
You want to move backwards.
Let's start with not complete. Let's go 1, 5, 4, and then 2 and 3.
Okay, obviously BYU is number 1, right? They have.
Yeah, they have to be. They're undefeated. So
yeah. Okay.
Although I don't think that they're looking like the number 1 team.
I agree.
But hey, when you get wins, you get wins. All right.
I mean,
you're undefeated.
Win in the last second against both OSU and Utah. So
yeah, that's just the way it is.
But they won. They won.
You keep getting W's. You keep getting ranked number 1. I mean, that's just how it works.
Yep.
Number 5, Steve.
Don't say it. I already know you're going to say it, but go ahead. Don't say it, but say it.
I'm going to put Arizona State.
Okay, me too. Okay, I thought you were going to say K-State.
No.
I want Arizona State as well. I think they're overperformed at this point in the season. I think they're a pretty good football team. I think their offense is pretty good. I still have some question marks on their defense. I do. I think going 8-4 would be spectacular if you're Arizona State, considering their over/under on wins was 4. So you're doubling that up in a regular season with a chance at 9. I think they do that. I think they lose to K-State. I think they beat BYU. And then I think they beat Arizona as well. So
man, they for sure beat Arizona.
So that's actually 9-3. So
they for sure beat Arizona.
Yes.
If they beat BYU, that would be the most insane thing. Yep. That's crazy to even say right now. Number 4. Or do we go number 2? You pick, Steve. Or we let the chat. I
want to go number 4. I'm doing it. I got Iowa State number 4. And here's why. I mean, you gave up 45 points to KU. You've lost back-to-back games. I mean, if there's ever a time to play Iowa State, it is right now. Like, they are not playing good at all. You said it from the beginning. Their run defense is sus. They gave up 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns to Devin Neal. They look pretty bad against Taj Brooks. I don't think they're that good anymore. I really don't. Their defense, their pass defense is good. Their rush defense is not good. I got them number 4 right now. Even though Rocco Becht is playing, I mean, he threw for 383 yards. So I still think their quarterback is good. I don't think their run defense is good. So they're not playing good right now.
I'm going to pick Iowa State at number 4 as well.
Okay. I think we have the same top 5. Actually, we have the same top 6. Have to.
Colorado number 2, K-State number 3.
I agree. You can't lose to Houston.
Although transitive property, but still, the record shows.
Yes.
Record, as of right now, these are the 2 teams that are going to the Big 12 Conference Championship game. If
was playing better a couple weeks ago. They peaked at West Virginia. I really feel like that. Colorado has progressively gotten better since losing to K-State. They have a better conference record. They have an easier schedule, an easier path to Arlington. If you're betting odds, obviously Colorado and BYU would be the top two teams.
Right.
I still think BYU could lose a couple of games down the stretch. Colorado probably, if they're going to lose one game, which I probably wouldn't pick them to lose it, but if they're going to lose, it would be at KU here in 2 weeks. But you have to go number 2 for Colorado right now, man. They've looked better every single week, and they just got a double-digit win at Texas Tech, and both of us picked them to lose at Texas Tech, and they got it done. So shout out to them. K-State can't be number 2 after losing to Houston. They just can't.
No, and this is the second week in a row that I've picked Colorado at number 2.
That is true.
K-State didn't play. Actually, they played the bye. They played the bye week, and they won. They went up. They went up like 2 spots for me. Mainly the reason why they moved up to number 3 is because Iowa State just absolutely they're falling apart now. I think it's because they're actually playing against tough teams, and they've got a tough road ahead of them.
They do. KU at home, at Arizona State, and then at home against Houston. And Houston's defense is good, man. I mean, I know K-State lost that game, but Houston's defense is legit. It is. And KU's offense is legit.
That's right. Well, we'll have to see what happens as weeks keep going on. I mean, again, this is a really, really tough conference. And as for the power rankings, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure now Oklahoma State can't go for a bowl game, right?
Oklahoma State cannot go to a bowl game. Everyone else still can.
Yeah, everyone else still technically can. Arizona can still. I guess they have 3 more games. Oh, yep. Well, it's interesting. I wanted to throw this up here. Someone check on Dylan Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, he got 10 touches the last game. He didn't do anything, but it wasn't his fault. No one's blocking right now, and I don't know, man. They still need to find a way to get him the ball more, but I also feel like they got to figure out a way to get DJ Giddens going more. They just do. So,
yeah, I think this is a really, really good showing of the Big 12, how tough it is, how any week can, KU to start the season for the first few weeks was at number 16. And now they've made their way all the way up in the power rankings, according to Steve and I, who happen to be the most correct out of anybody else.
We had them last for a long time, by the way. We had them last in the Big 12 for weeks after they started, what was it, like 0-3 or whatever it was?
But something that's remained the same for a while, we had Texas Tech up there for a bit, but over the last few weeks, it's been BYU, Colorado, K-State, and Iowa State. And it's unfortunate that K-State is the only team that plays all the other 3. Because Colorado doesn't play BYU. They don't play Iowa State, and Iowa State doesn't play BYU or any, it's just K-State that plays the other 3. So it's really unfortunate that we won't be able to see a BYU versus Colorado game, because I think that game would be legit. It's unfortunate that we don't see Iowa State versus Colorado, because I think that would be a really good game. And it's unfortunate. And I'll say this, Steve, to everybody that's watching, I'll say this right now. We got 120 something people watching right now. We're going to be coming out with a very interesting video about how I would rearrange the Big 12, and it's going to be really cool. How to realign it and everything. And I just finished the script on it. I'm going to kind of make it more of an animated type film and stuff, or a video, and it's going to be really cool. And a lot of the interesting things that we see here are teams and games that should be played against each other, and
they're not.
BYU and Colorado and Iowa State and K-State are all like games that would be playing against each other almost every year. So it's really interesting. So I can't wait to get.
Yeah, that's going to be a good video. And you and I talked about that ad nauseum, actually. And people don't know, Kenny and I talk so much every single day, texting and calling each other, like a lot. Kenny and I are like best of friends here. And we have a lot of fun with this show, but we have more fun just hanging out, talking sports, and just chilling as
That's
well.
right.
And our daughters are best friends too. I want to say one thing here before we're done here in terms of the power rankings. If you look at the conference standings, which I have right here on the right side, these are the current standings according to ESPN, and I think it's also according to the Big 12 Conference as well. If you look at the top 8 teams that K-State could play, so you take out K-State, it's really the 1 through 9, right? Because that'd be the top 8 teams that K-State could play. K-State plays 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Six of their nine conference games are against the top half of the league. K-State's schedule is insane. The top 3 teams, K-State plays at Iowa State, at Colorado, and at BYU. K-State did not get a favor at all in this schedule. And we talked about it already. I know. I just wanted to mention it one more time. K-State has by far the toughest schedule of anyone in this league, and it's unfortunate. But also, don't lose at Houston. Do not lose at Houston and blow a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, which hasn't been done in 28 games. But man, that's frustrating.
Yeah, don't lose at Houston and take away 6 minutes away from BYU, and we're looking at a totally different power rankings.
I agree. I still think that everything's there for K-State. It's still there.
The 6 minutes at BYU and that one horrendous pass call at Houston, and we're looking at a totally different season. So
I agree.
It is what it is. I mean, but you could say that with K-State's win against Colorado, who knows what, if Travis Hunter didn't go down. I mean, there's a lot of things that happened with Colorado that game. There's a lot of what ifs everywhere. I'm sure Utah will tell you firsthand. There's a lot of what ifs.
Yes, they will. Their AD would tell you for sure.
No excuses, Utah. Listen, the win does not come down to one play. You have an entire hour of playing the game. You don't just lose the game on one singular play.
I agree.
It's not how the game of football is. It just isn't, So it's been the power rankings. This concludes the power rankings for week 11 going into week 12, Steve. Crazy, yes, man.
It is crazy. And I want to talk about a little bit of basketball really quickly before we get out of here.
Right.
I want to talk about K-State, of course, but also a couple other teams as well. Shout out to Baylor. They got their clocks cleaned by Gonzaga, first game of the season. They responded nicely with the big win against Arkansas. Houston did lose at home. Actually, I guess it was a neutral site game. They lost to Auburn, so that's not a good look. But KU gets a big win against North Carolina at home. They blew a 20-point lead, but they still got the win. But K-State, let's talk about them really quickly. K-State, they are 2-0. They just came off of a 77-64 win at home against Cleveland State. I was there. My wife actually surprised me with courtside seats. It was pretty sick. My daughter got a photo of Willie. K-State was up 20 or more the whole time, and honestly, this is really what I want to talk about. K-State put in some subs the last 2 minutes and let the other team make it a 13-point game, make it look a lot closer than it was, which is really going to hurt K-State's net ranking, which is the net ranking. If you don't know, it basically goes off of strength of schedule and how badly you beat teams and also your offensive and defensive efficiency. It's definitely going to hurt them. If they're going to be a bubble team, both of their wins should have been by a lot more. Now, their first win was by 24 points against New Orleans, but only beating Cleveland State by 13 when Cleveland State lost by 48 at Michigan. It's not a good look, man. It's not. I'm happy we're 2-0, but this team has a long way to go. I got question marks on the point guard position. But, man, I don't know. Coleman Hawkins has not gotten it done so far. They got to figure out a way to get him the ball more because other teams are really taking him away. So I don't know how much of that game you watched, but shout out to Brendan Housen for making, I think, 6 or 7 threes, scoring 22 points. Finally, K-State has a white guy that's a sharpshooter. Finally, we have one.
Homeboy from Texas, right?
Amarillo, Texas, the Amarillo Assassin.
That's right. No, I honestly, I didn't see any of that game. I was just been watching the games, football games. For me, I'm still delved into the Big 12 heavy, so that way we can cover the Big 12 as best as we can, and give you guys, accurate insight and reviews of these games. And because you guys care about my opinion, of course, that's why you're here.
Yep.
Blackout. Are y'all doing score predictions? We actually do our score predictions, and
Tuesday.
Yeah, we do them Tuesday. And we change the time to 4:30 Central in the afternoon. So be on the lookout for that if you guys are interested. And look, Steve has been pretty accurate on scores. I've been pretty accurate on scores. So at least one of us is going to be right.
Yep. And here's the Big 12 conference basketball standings, by the way. There are only two teams that are not undefeated, and crazy enough, it's Houston and Baylor. Everyone else is at least 1-0 or 2-0, but Arizona State's about to lose to Gonzaga, so they're going to drop to 2-1. But this conference, man, it's elite. It's insane in terms of basketball, definitely for football as well. But, man, everyone's good in this conference, man. Everyone needs to win your home games and try to steal a couple on the road because this conference is insane.
I just saw this. Nothing quite like a sharp shooting white guy. Laugh out loud.
K-State has not had one, man. K-State's not had one like ever. Finally, K-State has one, and actually he's a transfer from Villanova. He is from Texas, but he had a career-high 22 against Cleveland State on Saturday.
And Jay Baller 54. Hey, welcome KU fan. Unless your name is actually
He is 100% a KU fan.
But yeah, JD6 is rolling. Hey, honestly, he is rolling. Like I said earlier, every team that is playing KU from here on out, they're a dangerous team, and they might put a lot of teams on their back. I don't know. I can't. You'll have to tune in next Tuesday to hear what our score predictions are, and what we say in our hot takes. 5 of KU's losses have been by 6 or less. Hey, listen, we know all about that. We've been
watching.
We know, yeah, we've been watching. We watch every week, and kind of reminds me of a K-State team last year when almost every single one of our losses were 1-score losses, and they were against teams that were away. Yeah, we know all about it. We know all about it.
Yep, we do know all about that. One was in overtime. One was on a 63-yard, school record field goal. So I know all about losing close games. I really do.
Yep, and we don't blame the officiating for it. That's what we don't do.
No, I mean, of course, everyone can be upset about 1 or 2 calls. But I mean, I don't know how many more plays there were in that game last night, but there was enough to win the game. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So there it is, guys. There's our Week 11 recap and the power rankings.
Yes, sir.
This has been fun, Steve. I mean,
I can't believe we had 140 people watching, dude. 140. That's crazy.
And K-State didn't even play.
A lot of people Colorado fans are in here because they won, and shout out to them for getting the wins. They're number 1 and number 2 in the conference for a reason, and they're both pretty good. We'll see what happens the rest of the way.
And I know a lot of BYU fans were probably piling in to hear that apology from me, but guess what? It ain't gonna happen. I'm not apologizing for picking Utah. It was actually the right pick. It was actually the pick. It was a good pick. It was the best pick of the year for me. It just didn't go my way. And that's just the way it is when you.
That hold happened basically right as he was getting sacked as well. I just want to say.
I was excited. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm picking this team to win, and they actually are gonna win, and it didn't happen. It was all the way up to the very last, 1 minute and 30 seconds of the game, and they didn't get the win. I was like, wow, what a really close game. But a lot has to go into that game. I mean, they had to drive it down. They had to kick the field goal, all this. Hey, we just watched the Chiefs almost lose, and they won on a blocked field goal. That could have been Utah. They could have blocked it. They could have blocked
Shout out to Furman from BYU making 4 field goals in the second half, including the game-winning field goal. He should not have to buy himself a donut or ice cream because they don't drink there.
A cougar tail is what you're saying. He shouldn't have to buy himself a cougar tail.
Let him soak, if you know what I mean. Let him soak.
Yes, shit. I don't know if that's the right term, but I think.
Oh, you're on. If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Kenny, this was a great episode. I'm excited for Tuesday. Sir. Tuesday is actually gonna be a pretty good day. So you'll know about it when we talk about it on Tuesday. So
that's
Kenny,
good.
Is there anything else? Is there one last thing to say?
Yeah, give us your money. Like spend some money on us, would you? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, send some super chats if you want. If you're so inclined to, go ahead. But no, you don't have to. But if you want to,
you don't have to. But if you want to support us, don't be afraid to send a super chat. And also, as always, like and subscribe. We're really close, and we just want to keep growing this channel. We love the content we make. We love interacting with the fans and watching the games. And this has been probably the most fun I've ever had watching college football. I mean, being able to get back on here and have a platform to talk about it has been really fun. So I just want to keep growing the channel so that we can continue to do this. And yeah, man, I'm excited for next week. I'm excited for the week after that. I'm excited to see what happens in the Big 12 and as far as the end of the season goes and what happens with the college football playoffs. And it's going to be fun, dude. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, there's just one last thing to say, Kenny.
Oh, Big Roy.
Roy Wall. Go ahead. Click on it. Go ahead. Got a $9.99 super chat from Roy Wall. That's what's up.
For 9-0, baby. Hey, you guys brought that down to the wire. So
yeah,
props to you guys. Props to you guys for eking out that win, and I'm happy that I'm happy that you are in the giving mood.
I'll say this. If there's one fan base that has watched our stuff more than any other, it has to be BYU fans. Right. Ever since K-State played BYU, we've seen a huge uptick in BYU fans watching our stuff, whether it's the power rankings video, the live videos, whatever it is. I would say over half of our subs are from BYU fans, and we really, really appreciate it. Probably the other half is honestly Colorado fans. We don't have that many K-State fans that watch, but we have a ton of Colorado and BYU fans. So we appreciate the $9.99 super chat, Roy.
Yeah, look, dude, they're the top teams in the conference right now, so they should be happy with their season. They're taking a victory lap over everybody else right now, and it's well deserved. I mean, listen, you're not gonna find a hater in me because as the saying goes, real recognizes real. I love it. Was that corny to say that?
It was a little bit corny, but I loved it. Kenny, I loved it.
Did I say it like a little bit more like swag, like real recognize real? Is that better?
There you go. That's better. That's better. The delivery was better the second time. So
yeah, we should have beat Houston. We know. We know we should have beat Houston.
We are quite aware. In fact, I'm over it at this point. But thank you again to Roy and everyone. Corny as hell.
All right. Don't pile on me. All right.
We are going to do a video with our wives at some point. We've talked about this. We've not had a chance to do it, where they're going to guess the Big 12 conference teams based off of their school logos. Now we're going to have to change a couple. So like TCU would have to be the Horn Frog, right? And like Oklahoma State would have to be Pistol Pete, right? Like they have alternate logos we're going to have to use because TCU's logo literally is TCU. So we'll have to use a Horn Frog. But we're going to do that video. It should be fun because both Kenny and I absolutely outkicked our coverage with our wives by far. Like you're going to look at our wives and look at us and be like, yo, what the hell were they thinking?
Yeah, we definitely hit the lottery there with our wives. I have no idea how that
just shows possible. How cool we are. We are that cool, dude.
We were a lot cooler back in the day. We'll say that. I mean, you just saw
Kenny was a rock star.
I was at one point where I had all the swag in the world, and clearly my swag is not dripping anymore. It's empty because my delivery was corny as hell.
I love it. Love it. All right, Kenny.
Time.
Well, now there's just one last thing to say, right?
Yeah, of course. It is Go Cats.
Yes, sir. Go Cats, baby. Every man a Wildcat.
Down in Purple